One of the major implications of the big, beautiful bill being passed will be that millions and millions of people will be kicked off their Medicaid and Medicare. It's like the rug being pulled out from under them like that. One day you got health insurance, one day it's gone, Jack and baby cakes. So, I just would like to talk about, one of the potential implications of this happening. And it may kind of sound comical at first, but it's anything but. Is that you're gonna have nuts running around loose on the streets. Because guess what's paying for all those psych drugs? Medicaid and Medicare. That's right. All this forced psychiatric drugging that you guys like, and forcing people with mental illness into psych wards, and forcing them to take pills and shots up the butt, that's all gonna be gone. And people cannot be cold turkeyed off their psych meds. That is a one-way ticket to the cuckoo farm. And this is just something that people just have not thought about. And how is society going to cope and deal with this? How are we going to cope and deal with nuts running around loose on the streets? How are we going to cope with no psychiatry, no psych drugs, no forced institutionalizations, no forced drugging court orders? How can you court order somebody to be on psychiatric medication that isn't no longer being paid for? You tell me that, 'cause I don't know. Food stamp cuts. All of us people with mental illness are out here, and our food stamps are about to be taken away. Well, guess what? To be on psychiatric medication, you need food! You need to eat! So if I can't eat, guess what? I'm not taking the medication. There! How about that? How about them apples, Jack and baby cakes? Yeah. So, me being the forward-thinking person that I am, I'm tapering off my psych drugs right now. Anybody that's on psych drugs that can taper, you have to have started your taper 5 minutes ago, because you will be cold turkeyed off your psych meds. You will lose your Medicaid, your Medicare, your food stamps, your housing. All that is in the big beautiful bill cuts. They're going to cut the housing vouchers. How are you supposed to keep and store and take medication without housing? How are you supposed to get to the doctor to get prescribed medication without transportation that is usually paid for by Medicare and Medicaid? How can the court system expect you to be forced psychiatrically drugged when you can't even eat? In the psych ward, when they pass out the meds, they always pass out a snack with it. You have to eat to be on psychiatric medication. So, yeah, there is this big beautiful bill is an all-out assault on psychiatric care as we know it. The psych wards are going to close. The group homes are going to close. The community living support workers are going to go away. There will be no medical coverage. There will be nobody to pay for all these psychiatric drugs. Nobody to pay for therapy visits. Nobody to pay for rides to and from the psychiatrist. Rides to and from the hospital. The whole house of cards is about to come crashing down. People in poverty will not, and I repeat, will not have access to any kind of psychiatric care in any form at all. At all. There will be no way for us to take care of ourselves even. You can't take medication when you don't have housing, when you don't have food, when you don't have support. There is no way to follow any kind of traditional treatment regimen without support. Families, if you have somebody in your family, that either, has autism or mental illness, this is how they deal with it in other lands where there is no health care, which is what we're being faced with here in America. This practice is called pasung, Pasung, and it is the practice of either caging or shackling mentally ill people, usually inside the home, because there's no access to any kind of treatment, any kind of support. And I'm not kidding you. This is real. This is, you can find this on Google. It's right there for everybody to see. People in the Philippines and in Indonesia and Africa, parts of Asia, any part of the world that's poverty stricken, and they don't have access to health care. This is what they do to cope. And there's two ways that you can pasung somebody. One is to build a cage inside your home and essentially keep the person caged. Or you could shackle the person, to a tree, to a pole, in your basement, wherever. Again, this is very real. This is what happens when people don't have access to mental health care. This is how you're gonna have to cope with mental illness in your family. This is the new reality here in America under the big beautiful bill. There is no access to psychiatric medication. There is no access to a doctor. There's no access to psychiatry. There's no access to psych drugs. Now, if you do find yourself in this position where under the big beautiful bill, Medicaid and Medicare cuts, that you have to pasung a family member, I would just advise to do this as humanely as possible. This could be achieved, probably the most humane way by shackling the person by one ankle, and make sure the chain is long enough, like, where they could have some room to move around, because, like, this is completely inhumane. That's torture. So yeah, shackling around one ankle, give the person enough, room to move around, give them access to bedding, a toilet, books to read, or if you decide to go the route of a cage, now this cage right here is a little on the small side, hopefully to go about this in a humane way, I would recommend making a cage, as big as, like, say, like, the average room in a house. Of course, I do think that, see, both the cage and the shackle have advantages and disadvantages. Like, where is this person supposed to go to the bathroom, realistically speaking, right? But this person, can move around a little, but when you go to put the toilet, like, within their reach, then, they might attack you. But yeah, that will be left for you to figure out, because I guess that's what we decided on as a country, to, not afford people access to health care.